Good?
Yeah. Hey there, Sea Milk.
Hi, long time no see.
So why does everybody call your wife a slave?
What? She called what?
You see the comments on the Chinese internet?
This is
like,
true.
she looks like a Vietnamese slave monkey.
They always say like really horrible shit about my wife. However, the Western audience, the haters on the other side, if you're drinking the haterade from the West, they say, what a beautiful girl, but what a hideous Jew-looking ugly dude, you know? And it goes both ways, and it's about beauty standards, right?
Yeah.
So what are we talking about today?
We're talking about the fact that in China, there's this thing going around. Chinese people believe that foreigners only choose the ugliest Chinese women. They have this bad taste when it comes to women. And so we're going to talk about this because there is a little bit of reality into this.
Sure.
By the way, I'm not calling your wife ugly. I think she's very pretty.
You don't need to say anything about that.
But, yeah, I guess let's just go hit the road and let's talk about it. We first start talking about like our own experiences and go from there.
Let's do it.
Let's go. So, Simok, there's one thing that I've noticed, because we're going to start with our wives. Like I said, you get the Chinese Wu Mao, which for those of you who don't know what Wu Mao are, they're basically the haters, the 50 cents.
We should eventually just make a video called What is a Wu Mao?
Yeah, we probably should. Anyway, they comment on both of our wives.
Yes.
Okay, and they call them despicable things, but there's one thing. Apparently my wife is up to the beauty standards of China, because they keep saying like, what a waste, he's stolen one of our beautiful girls.
Until they find out she's divorced, because then she becomes a leftover woman.
Absolutely. The thing is, they'll be like, screw this guy stealing our girls, and then they say, we don't care about Sea Milk because his wife's ugly, he can have her.
Right. That's
Like,
the kind of shit people say.
It's absolutely disgusting. It's despicable. The thing is, okay, we're talking about this whole beauty standard. By the way, we should probably get on the main road.
We
here,
will.
dude.
We gotta wait until there's a.
There's a cross back here. Come back.
No, we can't fit through there.
You can see
there's
some.
There's a main cross here, dude.
Oh, okay. I'll be there in a second.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. So let's first talk about the whole sort of exotic, the idea of people being exotic, right?
Okay.
When you first got to China, what was your impression of the girls here?
Well, I think we've had this conversation a little bit. Well, that doesn't go anywhere, does it?
Wait for me, I'm quite far behind. We'll break radio contact. I don't want to go through these puddles.
Oh yeah, there's an intersection up here.
Good.
Okay, I'll wait for you. When I first got here, I mean, I didn't have this kind of so-called yellow fever fetish, as people say. So I'm not going to go as far to say as like every woman was attractive to me. But what I did notice is because they were so different, and I speak in sweeping generalizations, but because Asian people were so different than the typically white people or black people I grew up with. It meant that you don't see very specific characteristics because you're not used to seeing people look like that, right?
Yeah.
So probably the first thing I noticed was the clarity of the skin here. Like a lot of Asian people have really good skin.
They do.
And that was something I wasn't used to seeing back home. And a lot of white people, we get acne every now and then, you know. And that's not to say that doesn't exist here. There's no way we can fit through
we can't get through that.
We got to keep going to the intersection up here.
Yeah, I can see the traffic lights.
Yeah. Anyway, and also the weight.
Oh yeah, that's
so if you look around, like most people, some people have beard
Except
guts like
guy.
men, right?
Yeah.
But the women are fairly trim. They're fairly trim, especially down here in the south.
Yeah, it's actually very difficult to find an
fat
overweight woman here.
She has to be like an old
Yeah, if you're 50 or something, yeah.
Right. Now, that's the first thing I noticed. So immediately, the women had an advantage of just being better than average because they weren't overweight.
Yeah.
And because they had nice skin, clean skins, clear skin. So for me, that's the first thing I noticed. What about you?
Yeah, okay, absolutely. The features are very different. So you're not used to, Asians, like you said, when you've been living amongst whites and blacks. I come from South Africa, and black people are the majority. I am a minority there.
Right.
But yeah, you come here and all of a sudden, like you say, the women are, first of all, in the majority slim, which is it's very refreshing.
Right.
Okay, and on top of that, they've all got, jet black hair, straight black hair, which
I find attractive.
Yeah,
I like dark hair.
I've always liked straight hair. I've always liked black hair, and different eyes. The Asian eyes are very attractive.
Right.
Can be very attractive.
Yeah.
But it's mainly just all of a sudden very exotic.
Yes.
I always use
That's
that
a good word.
analogy where if you eat rice every day, rice becomes boring, but if you eat noodles every day, noodles become boring, and then if you see a bowl of rice, you're like, hell yeah, you know?
Exactly.
So everyone is exotic, and so it's very difficult for you to really tell a beautiful woman, you know, compared to an average looking woman, because you just haven't been exposed to, you know, the different facial features and the different styles and so on, the different genetics. And I'm going to also say that it works the other way around for Asians when it comes to white people. We'll talk about that in a minute, but also for black people. You know, I live in South Africa, and I lived in South Africa for most of my life.
Yeah.
A fair portion. And you know, you'd get people coming from overseas, and not being racist or anything, they wouldn't really be able to tell the difference between, you know, one black man and another. So, you know,
because they're not used to, it's the same. It's anywhere. It's just when
same.
Asian people go to America, they think white people look the same.
All look the same, and it's the same as, like, you know, black people going to Asia. They also don't know, you know, the difference between, you know,
I think the key word is exposure, right?
Yeah, correct. So, you know, like living in Africa, of course, I can tell what a handsome black man looks like compared to an ugly black man, and a pretty black woman compared to an ugly black woman, you know.
Of course you could.
It's because I've been living amongst them for so long, and I know the different types, you know.
Right.
So when foreigners first come to China, you know, you'll find they'll just basically get into a relationship with the first sort of girl that comes along. And that's because every girl is, you know, like we said, fairly attractive at first, because wow, they're slim, they're pretty, they've got good skin, they're petite, you know, there's all these sort of positive attributes that men look for.
Most men, yeah.
You know, that's, by the way, we're probably going to have like these fuming people in the comments calling us horrible.
Well, that's a guarantee, but I think we're battle hardened.
Yeah, and I mean, let's just be honest, it's all about fertility, and, you know, there's a hip to waist ratio, and it's all biological, we know it.
Yeah,
you know,
sure.
It's just the way we're made, you know. We can't choose what's attractive, we just find attractive things attractive. So, you know, in general, Chinese women are quite attractive. Exactly. To a Western man anyway. Right. And so, yeah, you know, you get approached, or you meet someone who you think's attractive, who maybe isn't that attractive, but you think they're attractive, and you get into a relationship, and then all the Chinese guys are like snickering at you, saying like, why are you dating such an ugly woman? Right. And you're like, dude, come on, my girlfriend's beautiful, what are you talking about, you know? Right. So it's that kind of a situation. Maybe you could talk about how it works in reverse when it comes to foreigners. Sure.
I was actually going to say something. I mean, you've touched on the physical aspect, right?
Yeah.
I actually want to, can I say something? Yeah. I want to say that the general kind of outlook towards relationships and beauty here, I mean, a lot of the times the Chinese people will be judging, saying that the foreigners are finding ugly women, because, I mean, by and large, you're probably correct about the whole, like, everything's exotic. But there's another piece, and that's that a lot of Chinese men do not treat women as equals. Yeah. So when you look at relationships, it may not be based on the fact that they're good friends and they like each other, right? So a woman is, you know, it can be a commodity to them. Sure. So they're not looking at the personality aspect of it. So that can be another factor as well. But anyway, the reverse of the whole thing is that a lot of Chinese people will find white people attractive. Most people here prefer white skin. I'm talking about pale skin. Yes. Nobody wants a tan. You see women walking around with umbrellas in the sun. This is still the kind of pervasive idea that, you know, white people are attractive. You can watch our Chinese Girls Easy video to get a full explanation of that. For sure. But anyway, long story short, the foreigners that come here, an average man, a very average man, particularly a blonde average man that's, you know, taller than the average Chinese guy with blue eyes, will be considered attractive no matter what he looks like. Yeah, he could be very ugly. Yeah. I have a little bit of an anecdote. When I worked in a university, I'm not going to say which one, I'll change the location. Let's say I was in Sichuan, and I was working in a university, which I wasn't, but I don't want this person to get angry. I was working in a university, and there was a boy that I worked with, and he was a redhead, kind of blondish red hair. You know, not a great complexion, not a very good looking person. Tall, lanky, no muscles, you know, it'd be like a 3 out of 10 back home probably. Okay. But he was voted, they had like the Waijiao beauty contest. He was voted by all of the Chinese students to be, and the staff, to be the most attractive person that worked at the school, and he became the kind of spokesperson, the face for the university, because he fit all of those stereotypes. And it goes exactly the same way. I mean, they don't know how to differentiate between an incredibly bland looking person and someone that's probably better than average.
Sure.
And this is particularly true of women. You can be any white woman, come over here, you can be chubby, you can fit any like kind of stereotype back home that might make you a little bit less than attractive, and you will be considered beautiful here. They will find some attribute about you that's absolutely beautiful, whether it's your golden blonde hair, or your blue eyes, or your tall nose. You will always be considered beautiful here, and that's another flip side to this whole thing.
Yes, although don't expect long relationships, because
no, I'm just saying the perception.
Yeah, you will be considered beautiful for sure. Yeah, so I mean that's why you get this kind of stigma of the loser back home thing, about like a guy who's an ugly loser in his own country comes to China, finally can get a girlfriend. Right. And it's true, because you do get guys who are considered very unattractive back home, who just don't have any sexual market value, who come to China, and because they're foreigners, they're instantly exotic, and also they're expected to be rich, and Chinese girls will go for them. And you'll get fairly attractive Chinese girls going after very unattractive foreigners, and that's why
it works.
It works vice versa,
It does. I've seen very, very handsome guys that have really below average girlfriends. However, we're not taking into account the personality, their relationship, right?
Sure,
it's very vapid the way that people look at things here. However, what I want to segue into is the way that I've changed my perception, right?
Which is?
The girls that I found attractive maybe in the beginning, I'll be totally honest with you, I've conformed to the Chinese standard. I still obviously judge a woman based on her personality, because deep down that's who we are, and that's what we learn, and that's we treat women as equals, right? But the standard of beauty, in my opinion, has changed. I think I've gone towards the Chinese way, and this is weird, but if I see a girl, like a countryside girl here, even if I would find her very attractive in the beginning, she's got kind of darker skin, or she's not dressed up very well, or I can tell she's, just wouldn't be attractive in the average Chinese man's eye, I also kind of feel that way as well. It's kind of bizarre.
Okay,
but being here, I think being here so long, you do conform to certain standards.
Oh yeah, sure, that's true. I mean, I can think about my first girlfriend or two that I had in China, and if I think back, yeah, they weren't attractive at all.
Guy in your ass.
Okay. I mean,
I was gonna say,
I have to be honest with myself, is, I just didn't know it, just because pretty much they were exotic and different, and I don't regret the relationships in any way, and it's no slight on the people, but it's just the fact that, yeah, if I looked at them today after having lived here for almost 12 years now, I would look at her and say she's not an attractive girl.
This is gonna piss a lot of people off, I know. Like, I'm seeing the seething hatred, but you gotta understand, if you have any passing interest in China, you gotta understand how judgmental of a society it is, and that's just how things are. So we're speaking as people who have conformed to Chinese society. There's no one in the comments from China that's gonna get pissed off at what we're saying, so please excuse us. We're speaking on behalf of the average Chinese person.
Absolutely.
And if I looked at the timeline of my girlfriends, and I hate to dox myself and make people think that the fairy tale dream of me meeting my wife in the beginning was the only girl I ever dated, that's bullshit. Obviously we're a long distance and a lot of stuff happened, and the girls that I dated throughout China progressively got prettier as I moved through, and it was my perception. And I also ended up dating girls, throughout my stay here that I understood me more, and I understood more as well. You just get better at kind of judging character, because when you first come here, you don't know how.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's why there is definitely a truth behind,
for sure,
what the Chinese people say.
A lot of foreigners do date ugly girls, and vice versa.
They do. Oh, by the way, this is the big hot spring here. It's got the largest Hakka-style hotel.
Yep. It's terrible, by the way. There's a really good one down the road.
Yeah. And we're actually looking for a little farm road which goes off to the side somewhere here, where we're going to be filming a different episode all about the honeymoon period here in China, which in fact kind of ties into this whole thing we just spoke about.
It absolutely does. Everything we've talked about on this trip is tied into itself.
Yes, absolutely.
Cool. Smells like burning plastic.
It does, because they're burning plastic in these factories. Simil, again, before we finish this up, I do want to put out a disclaimer, and I just want to say that, you know, although we sound horribly judgmental, like you already did explain this away, I just want to say that again, that people's perceptions change, and if you want to be totally honest and straightforward, you know, people that you may have found attractive when you were younger, you won't find attractive anymore. And I'm pretty sure that there are Chinese girls who've dated foreigners who thought certain types of foreigners were attractive, and now they think they're ugly. You know, it's just
Right.
how things change.
And I don't want to be too apologetic, and I don't want to reiterate this, but I just want to say that if you're watching us because you want to understand, wow, that's right next to the hot spring. Eh? If you watch us because you want to understand China, please understand. Do not watch our videos for 1 second through a Western lens. It's just not how things work here.
Yep.
So please accept my apology, but that's how China is.
Yeah. So anything you want to say to our subscribers before we sign off?
Whether you are a fairly average-looking dude here, happy in his relationship like me, looks pretty old. Whether you're a fairly average-looking dude with a very happy relationship that gets shit on all the time by the Chinese people, and actually I get congratulated by the Chinese people. I get shit on by the Westerners. Or you are a very attractive supermodel that can just walk through life with your looks, I implore you to like, comment, and subscribe.
Yeah, and whether or not you are Brad Pitt or Brad Zitt.
Nice.
You know,
Nice. Upvote for that, guys. You have to upvote for that.
Yeah. You know,
Brad Zitt.
We absolutely love you all the same.
Yes.
Honestly, like, I'm really not a superficial person. I'm incredibly lucky that I have such an attractive and beautiful wife. I think we
Right.
both are.
Of course.
And you know, just, you know, whoever you are.
Love people for who they are.
Yeah,
Don't be a
exactly.
dick.
Exactly. Whoever you are, you know, stay awesome.
Can almost see it. When I take a breath, you fill up my lungs. And if my mind